on a second. Okay, I'm back, and now we will do the monthly read, which you will get first, and which is coming from Postcards from the Liminal Space, my Oracle deck. It's out of print. It's ridiculous, the prices for this deck online right now. But it is great. If you like it, this is it. This is the deets. That looks like it's showing you backwards, though. You know I'm gonna write it in the comments. Don't worry about it. One, two, let's see. We have three cards, right? We have the opportunity, sorry, we have the concern, we have the opportunity and the obstacle, and then we have the advantage and the aversion. The concern is generally what's going on objectively outside of us. The opportunity, the obstacle is how we're using what's objectively going on to our benefit or to our detriment. And then the advantage aversion is what within us is working to our advantage or working to our aversion, and whether we are, utilizing everything that we are and have to the greatest advantage. So a few more cards than I expected pop out, just one extra one. See. A fourth card. We have a fourth card, y'all. Concern, opportunity, obstacle, advantage, aversion, and the key card. I used to do key card readings, so the key card is back. So I guess you guys will get an extra key card reading, and I'll just leave that at the end. And everybody else will just get the first three. So let's turn these babies over. Of course it is. Okay. First and foremost, the concern. Doesn't matter where you live in the world right now, we are seeing the results of people's ability to consider others, to consider themselves, to consider the circumstances at large, right? Like, viruses, germs, natural disasters, tsunami, typhoon, hurricane, volcano, like they are about what they're about. They're not in their feelings and then deciding whether they're going to erupt. The volcano isn't like, I don't like how humanity is treating me today, I'm going to erupt. The ocean isn't like, oh, I am sick of trash today, I'm going to tsunami. No, like they just do what they do, and they've been doing what they're doing for literally millennia. So this is about humanity, like the moodiness, really. And in fact, I'm kind of curious. Let's look up the etymology of mood right quick. Emotional condition, state of mind as regards passion or feeling, circa 1300, from Old English mode, which meant heart, frame of mind, spirit, courage, arrogance, pride, power, violence, the spectrum, right? Also used to translate Latin animus and mens, from Proto-Germanic moda, source of Old Saxon for mind, courage, Old Frisian for intellect, mind, intention, Old Norse for wrath or anger, Middle Dutch and Old High German for courage, Gothic for courage and anger, a word of unknown origin. People have found no acceptable Indo-European etymology, but what we know, it does across every culture mean mind, and across most cultures mean courage. So the courage of the mind, that's what mood is. The courage of the mind. Is your mind feeling petty? Is your mind feeling distrustful? Is your mind feeling generous? Is your mind feeling considerate? Is your mind feeling compassionate? And do you have the courage to honor how your mind feels? Do you have the courage to be compassionate? Do you have the courage to be considerate? Do you have the courage to be petty? Do you have the courage to be indifferent? And if you do, does it benefit you? Because courage is related. It is related to the heart. The word courage is literally from French coeur, the heart. So, what you put your energy into, what you put your heart into, is where your courage lies. Sometimes our courage lies in doing the opposite of the things that we want to do, right? Like, I'll stay small, I'll stay small, I'll stay careful, I'll stay quiet. and everything will go all right and I will be fine and I'll feel better, right? And we have those moments in relationships and jobs and family situations and like community situations where we're just willing to not do what we would otherwise do, um, in order to maintain a status quo that we believe is beneficial to us. And so, people are like, I want to go back to the world. I want to go back to doing what I'm doing outside, and I'm tired of being inside, and like forget that. It's like, okay, well, if you're in the mood for that, that's good to know, and that you should acknowledge that and honor that. But like the mood doesn't stop at the initial feeling. Like a true master would know and be able to account for all the feelings that come after the initial feeling. So it's like when we're feeling upset and we want to cuss somebody out, and then afterwards all these other feelings come forward because in the moment of upsetness we did not consider the repercussions of our actions, and we did not think about that move 25 steps ahead, 30 days ahead, 5 months ahead, 5 years ahead, and maybe we're still regretting our lack of foresight and our lack of perception and our lack of consideration in that regard, our lack of courage to understand the real implications and the real futures of our actions. And so the concern is really like what I always tell my clients: act the way you need to feel, right? Not how you want to feel, the way you need to feel. I need love. Act the way that you need to feel. I need support. Act the way that you need to feel. I need consideration. Act the way that you need to feel. Some people would say fake it till you make it. It's not faking it, it's intending for it. Well, if you act the way that you need to feel, you're not faking it, you're intending for it. You're building the muscle. Just like I had given the advice earlier, you have to build that muscle. It's not necessarily going to be comfortable to build that muscle. It's not necessarily going to be easy to build that muscle, but you do the work because you know that you need the strength. You know that you need the muscle. You need to use that arm, that leg, that brain, that neck, whatever you got. And the only way to do that is to go through the osmosis of the experience. But the way to do that most effectively and most efficiently is to really think into the future of that experience. It's not any coincidence that Indigenous people say 7 generations forward and 7 generations back. That's how far they're thinking when they're thinking about their moods. I don't know if I want to, I don't know, pollute this water or not, because I can make a profit right now. Well, 7 generations of mood thinking is going to tell you, you know what, that's very premature thinking, and I think I need to arrange that. But if you're only thinking into the next hour, the next day, or the next dollar, then you're not going to be ready for all the implications that take place as a result of your action. And the best masters of their craft are intentional almost beyond comprehension. It's like they intend what the masters, right, intended for 2,000 years beyond them. They intended for generations after them, not just 7 generations, all generations. And if we want that kind of security, then we actually have to have that kind of consideration, that kind of intention to have that sort of development and progression that we most desire. Now, our opportunity obstacle, how do we use that which is outside of us to do that which we most want to do? Reset. How do we use what's outside of us as an opportunity or an obstacle? Reset. An obstacle and reset could be like, I can't be and live the way that I wanted to live or the way that I was living, and existence has robbed me of my joy and my humanity, and my life ended where the past where the past starts. And now, even though I'm still alive and still human and still capable and still able and still in the world, I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop doing what I need to do because this thing that happened in the past has determined me for the rest of time, right? And we all know people like this. People who will refer to the 1, 2, 5, 50 million things that happen then so that they can't do what they need to do now. That's how you use the concern, your mood, as an obstacle. How do you use the concern, your mood, as an opportunity? Wow, existence has told me that even though I thought that was where I was going, that isn't the direction. And now that I know that isn't the direction for me, what I have to consider is to sit in my concern and to understand from the perception, from the observation, from my willingness to be considerate about all these things. What is the intention and the point of this reset? Why am I being stopped? What is this space supposed to be filled with if it's not supposed to be filled with the momentum that I had been previously on? And, the answer to that is obviously going to be, maybe not obviously, but the answer to that is going to be in the reset. I always tell people, like, I already said it, right? The solution is in the problem. So you sit in the reset, you sit in the pause, you sit in getting fired, you sit in the breakup, you sit in the city move, you sit in the brokenness, you sit in the circumstances. And then you decide based on that sit how you want to use it. How am I going to use this to go forward in the direction and in the momentum I was already intending for now that this unexpected circumstance has taken place? And I have to re-coordinate, reorient myself. And knowing that we have to do that, knowing that existence has not robbed us, that existence being infinite is completely efficient, and that there is nothing lacking. And so the circumstances must be giving what they need to give, even if we can't perceive it from that perspective. The reset maybe allows things to settle, to quiet, so that we can really determine things from every angle imaginable. And, it's not a coincidence that I believe this is our Jupiter finger. Jupiter just in Vedic palmistry. I think this is our Jupiter finger. This is the Venus, Jupiter, Sun, Mars, and Mercury. I think that's the way that it goes. I'm pretty sure this is Mars. I could be tripping, but I'm pretty sure this is Mars. And so our pointer finger being, oh no, I think this is Saturn, and that this is Jupiter. I got to do my homework. But basically, whether it's Saturn or whether it's Jupiter, it's still these bigger planets speaking to function and form. Jupiter obviously has to do with expansion, has to do with environment, opportunity, interaction. Saturn has much more to do with order and relation and timing. And so with the reset, we're in when I say a recoordination or reorientation, this is very much Saturn energy, but it's also the recognition that there is no smallness that doesn't have a responsive expansiveness, right? Like up and down to find each other, forward and back to find each other, above and below to find each other. So too must small and large. And knowing that, we can use the seemingly limiting circumstances to expand ourselves if we recognize that the limiting circumstances are related to expansion and not in the way of expansion and not punishment for a lack of expansion. These things do not verse each other. We decide that they're in opposition from our perspective if that's how we choose to use the perspective. But the point is to use the mood to reset and go into the direction that is most beneficial to you. And that could just mean going in the same direction in a different manner, right? Like you were going on foot, but you need a wagon. You were walking backwards, but now you need to start running. All of these things are aspects of the opportunity or the obstacle at hand, but it's highly contingent upon what? Our character. So card number 3 is the advantage or the aversion. What about our character works to our advantage? What about our character works against us? And we have come back to earth, come back down to earth. So people want to be in their fantasy, want to be in their delusions, want to be in their I want this and I want that. And it's not really about what they want. It's about being grounded, and it's about recognizing what the greater mechanism requires, the greater mechanism being Earth. Earth needs humanity to chill the fuck out. And by need, I just simply need for us to sustain ourselves with Earth. This is what it needs from us. It does not need us. Like, even if we die here as in mass, 8 billion of us, like Earth still has us. Everyone who's ever died on Earth has never been launched into space. Everything that has ever happened on Earth, anyone who has ever died on Earth still exists on Earth, okay? So if all 8 billion of us go out in one large event, Earth still has us. But what do we need to do with Earth in order to sustain ourselves? We need to become grounded. We need to start considering water, food, air, shelter, health, all these things, right? But when we have people like Jeff Bezos and we have people like Elon Musk and we have people like Richard Branson or whatever the Virgin Atlantic dude is, and even people like Kanye renting out this theater for $1 million a day. These four men, these four horsemen of the apocalypse, okay, they are these four capitalists of the apocalypse. They are doing everything they can to not be present in the reality of the circumstances. They are engaging with and acting from and to an earth that doesn't actually exist. And that can be positive when we're trying to invoke things that actually benefit more than ourselves. But that can often parade as uh, we need this, right? Like, I need to do this. If I don't do this, then humanity could fail. Like, there's no human that humanity is going to ultimately collapse into itself without. There's too many of us now. There's too many of us who are aware. There's too many people who are able and willing to do. This is not a linear, hierarchical paradigm anymore. We do not need one savior. We do not need one person. So the idea that anybody, any one person would need billions of dollars is ridiculous. Nobody, you can't take it with you. You can't reasonably spend it in a lifetime, and you did not earn it by yourself. There's no way to earn $1 billion by yourself. You are dependent, and your wealth is contingent upon the people's support of you. So to come back down to earth is to come back to your humanity. To come back down to earth is to remember the nature of humanity and the circumstances of humanity and the conditions of humanity. Because as much as art is beautiful and wonderful food and beautiful locations, if people are in abject depression and abject suffering and abject terror, it doesn't actually matter what the environment is like, because they are going to be living the majority of their reality from the trauma inside. They won't see what's out here. So beautiful music is great and beautiful clothing is wonderful and delicious food is wonderful. But if it is only benefiting 1% of the populace, then it's not actually the level of, it's not actually at the level of artistry that people think it is. Maybe this is an easier example. I was saying this to a client yesterday. It's like, under patriarchy, we have never seen fully expressed femininity. We have never seen fully expressed womanhood. We have never seen fully expressed androgyny. We have never seen fully expressed non-binariness. And frankly, we have never seen fully expressed masculinity, other than the fact that because patriarchy, because men are in, in the positions of power, the difference is that, the people in power choose their oppression by believing in its purpose. Oh, we need, Jeff Bezos. I mean, I can't, not everyone can be rich. And like, I can't help that I'm the richest man alive. And like, what am I supposed to do about that? People are going to be poor. Well, you're in the position of power. So you're choosing the suppression by believing that it's necessary. You could as easily allow your workers to form a union. You could as easily provide all the healthcare benefits. You could as easily disseminate your wealth. You could as easily give away 40% of your income every year, not to charity, but to all kinds of causes and people, and directly into the hands of people. There are a million ways to change the circumstances. And when you're in a position of power and you're unwilling to change the circumstances, you are choosing that they cannot be chosen. When we are not in a position of power and we're still willing to change the circumstances, we become, it's like pawn to queen. It's just like chess. If you're not in a position of power and you're still willing to change your circumstances and change your perspective so that your circumstances feel differently to you, you're going from pawn to queen. Ain't no one can stop you. It doesn't matter. You're moving across the board with every little scrap that you have, and it will benefit you ultimately. But if you're a king or a queen and you don't know how to use your resources, that's how motherfuckers get overthrown. Okay? That's how shit gets real cracking in a fiery kind of way. So to come back down to earth, and we can see here, is it a spaceship? Is it a star? Is it a meteor? Yes, there is a time to be in orbit. That's not right now. So the advantage in the aversion is understand what it means to really ground yourself in your circumstances and the way that they are, not just your depression, right? But like the things that you want are your circumstances. The things that you work towards are your circumstances. The circumstances that you're actually are in are your circumstances, and the things that you come out of are actually your circumstances. But you need to combine all those things to really be grounded. You know, we want an equilibrium, well-balanced groundedness. Now, what is the key card specifically for you, my homies? I don't know what time it is, so hopefully it'll be easy to, oh, maybe if I pause it and start again, it will separate it. Let me try.